Salam, peace be upon you, my friends. This is Mohammed Layiq Sediqi, the father of Holophase. Today, I don't want to speak from a stage or a lecture hall. I want to speak from this quiet, suspended place, this bridge we're standing on together. Look behind us. That path stretching into the mist, that's where we've been. Episode 6, 7, 8, and 9. A long, beautiful climb. A climb where we learn the secret. A secret so simple, it changes everything. We learn the universe isn't just matter and energy, it's a story, written in a single, elegant language, the language of Phi, the holophase. Now, look ahead. Through the mist, a new range of mountains rises. That's episode 10, New Territory, where we don't just listen to the story, we learn to speak back, to join the conversation. So before we take a single step forward, let's pause here, on this bridge between understanding and action. And I want to tell you, not as a teacher, but as a fellow traveler, what lies ahead. Not as a checklist of parts, but as a human journey, your journey, from confusion to clarity, from reading to writing, from being a character in the story to becoming, with great care, a co-author. The path behind us, how we learned to listen. Let's look back first, to remember how we even got to this bridge. In episode 6, everything changed. We made a choice to stop seeing the world as a collection of separate things, a rock here, a star there, a thought floating somewhere in between. We started seeing it as a single, continuous narrative. We said, imagine one field, everywhere, underlying everything. Phi. Think of it like a silent, infinite sea of tiny clocks. Each clock's hand points to a phase, an angle on a circle. By itself, that angle is just a number, a position. But when these clocks start to turn, when Phi begins to change, that's when the story begins. We ask the simplest, most powerful question. How does Phi change? And the answer wasn't one thing. It was three echoes, sounding all at once. Time echoes as omega, the rhythm, the local tempo. Space echoes as chi, the shape, the texture, the gradient. And from both, motion emerges, the flow, the drift. This was our first alphabet lesson. Time, space, and motion aren't separate stages where things happen. They're three shadows cast by the one thing, change in Phi. We practiced seeing this. We looked at a heartbeat, the rhythm, time, the squeezing pattern of the muscle, space, the pulsing wave of blood, motion. We listened to a spoken word, the syllables in time, the shape of the sound in the mouth, space, the idea moving to your mind, motion. One pattern, three inseparable voices. We called it the tri-unity. Then we started to climb. We called it the master tree of derivatives. First derivative, how fast? That's speed. Second derivative, how fast does the speed change? That's acceleration. Third derivative, how fast does the acceleration change? That's jerk. Each step asks a finer question, and at every step, the tri-unity held. Time, space, motion, woven together. Then we met topology, the mathematics of knots, holes, and connections that don't care about stretching, only cutting. We realized, sometimes, Phi can't be smooth everywhere. Walk a perfect circle around the point. Track Phi. You might return to find Phi has wound around its circle. Not by a fraction, but by a full, whole number of turns. 1, 2, minus 1. That integer is the winding number, a topological knot. You can't smooth it away. It's as robust as a full twist in a rubber band. And here, a quiet miracle. Quantization appeared automatically. Whole number counting, something we thought was a separate rule glued onto physics, just fell out of the grammar of Phi. Things like electric charge, magnetic flux, quantum numbers began to look like natural labels on the knots and twists in the Phi field. By the end of episode 6, we had new glasses. We could start to translate. A rainbow wasn't just refraction. It was a story of how Phi's derivatives change with color. A draining sink was a tale of defects and winding. a spiral galaxy, a long-range sentence in the cosmic phi field. We hadn't explained everything, but we had a new way of seeing. The world began to look less like a pile of separate objects and more like a tapestry woven from one luminous thread. In episode 7, we moved from alphabet to architecture. We learned to read full sentences. We climbed higher up the master tree, from speed to curvature to twist. We saw the language is hierarchical. It has layers. The microscopic whispers, the frantic dance of atoms. The mesoscopic patterns, a cell, a whirlpool, an electrical circuit. The macroscopic shapes, a storm, an organ, a city. Each layer has its own dialect, its own simplified grammar. But all are telling the same underlying story in phi. And we met a profound idea: self-reference. In this vast sea of phi, there evolved strange, complex patterns that could read other phi patterns. Brains, notebooks, computers, scientists. The universe began to describe itself. A sentence in phi, writing about phi. In episode 8, we stepped into the quiet halls of pure thought. We asked, what is this language if we strip away our particular universe? Forget planets, forget light, forget us. What is the pure, abstract form of phi? We found the Holophase language standard, the dictionary and grammar book for reality. A way to translate any true description of the world into a canonical phi sentence. We saw this language is universal. In principle, it can encode any story that has time, space, and change, any computable process. Phi became more than a field. It became the universal script. Then came episode 9, the fireworks. We watched the language write physics into being. We started not with a bang of energy, but with a sentence, phi at time 0. The first line written on the cosmic page. Then we pressed play. We activated the generative grammar. The differentiation engine, time and space derivatives, produced the first words, omega and k. Constrained propagation made sure the story made sense. Recursion built the infinite tower of detail. Topology allowed the story to knot and tear, creating robust defects, vortices, dislocations, with integer winding numbers. Quantization emerging naturally. Wave production gave us dispersion, interference, fields. Dynamical grammar gave us the action principle, the rule that the story takes the path of least cost. From this, equations of motion, symmetries, conservation laws, all flowed. By the end, the picture was breathtaking. One field, phi, an infinite tree of how it changes, a single testable grammar. The universe isn't obeying laws from outside. It is writing itself, moment by moment, according to this inner grammar. Up to this point, you have been a listener, a reader. You've learned to hear the music and the noise. Now, episode 10 asks the new, daring question. If we understand the language, can we learn to speak it? Can we design phi sentences that have meaning in reality? Can we program, heal, build, protect by writing carefully in this script? And can we do it with humility, as a respectful dialogue, not a shout? That is what lies ahead. Let's walk it together, book by book. Book 10.1, Language Fluency, Your First Words in Phi. Imagine landing in a country where you don't speak the language. At first, it's all noise. Then, you catch a word. Hello. Thank you. Then a phrase. One day, you realize you're thinking in that language. Book 10.1 is that process, for Phi. We start with the noise of the world, raw data, the jagged line on a seismograph, the static field signal from a radio telescope, the chaotic firing of a neuron on a screen. To an untrained eye, it's just data. To a Phi-literate mind, it's a shadow of the real story. Our first task is learning to read Phi from this data. We learn phase unwrapping. Our instruments often see only part of the phase, like seeing a clock hand at 3, but not knowing if it's 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. We need to reconstruct the full cumulative phase, the true plot. We learn derivative estimation. By looking at tiny differences between data points, we estimate omega, the local tempo, and K, the local spatial shape. It's like going from hearing notes to feeling the rhythm and melody of a song. Once we can reconstruct phi, we learn to interpret the sentences. A snapshot of phi across space is a frozen page. Its derivatives are the punctuation. A calm, constant region is a full stop, a rest. A sharp gradient is an exclamation mark. Something important is happening here. A closed loop with a winding number is a named character, a topological defect that persists, moves, has identity. We learn to look and say, here, the system stores a memory in a loop. Here, a wave is carrying energy from left to right. Here, two defects are about to collide and annihilate. Then, we take a breath. And we try to speak. Our first words are simple, like a child saying hello. We design a tiny phase modulation on a laser to send a single bit of information. We create a gentle, controlled ripple in water to nudge a floating leaf. We shape a soft electromagnetic pulse to flip a microscopic switch without breaking it. Each act is a baby phi sentence, a deliberate whisper into the field. And then we listen for the echo. We read back the phi pattern. Did reality understand us? By the end of book 10.1, you are no longer just a listener. You are a beginner speaker. You can go from noise to phi to meaning, and from a simple intention to a small testable change in the world. Book 10.2, Measurement Engineering, Crafting New Senses. When you start to speak, you realize you need better ears, sharper eyes. In our world, that means building instruments that don't just see light or force, but see phi itself. Book 10.2 is about crafting the eyes and ears of the phi world. We start with phi sensing, interferometers of unimaginable precision, feeling the difference in phi between two paths of light. Phase-sensitive detectors that don't just measure how bright the signal is, but where its phase hand is pointing on the circle. Indirect methods, using clever algorithms to infer the most likely phi field from the patterns we can see. Each instrument is a new window, and each window has limits. We study those limits not as dry theory, but as practical truth. How finely can we read the universe's handwriting before it blurs into fundamental noise? Then we build tools to measure the grammar itself. Tools to measure omega, to hear the precise beat of the cosmic drum. Tools to measure K, to feel the texture of space, like reading Braille with infinite sensitivity. Tools to detect curvature and torsion, to see where the story bends and twists. A special chapter is on topological sight. How do we see the knots in the story that can't be untied? Techniques to image vortices in superfluid helium, where the phi phase whirls in a perfect circle. Methods to map dislocation lines in crystals, the cracks in the crystal's phase pattern. Ways to track the braiding of defects over time, where their dance encodes memory. Finally, we establish standards. We create reference phi patterns, a flat phase, a standard vortex, that labs worldwide can use to calibrate their instruments. We design protocols. We build in error correction. By the end of this book, we have trusted senses. We know what we're perceiving, how clear it is, and where we might be fooled. Without this, all that follows is just a dream. Book 10.3, Phi Programming, Becoming an Author. Now we become authors. Book 10.3 is where we treat Phi as a true programming language. Imagine a language where the variables are not in a computer's memory, but are actual patches of the phi field in your lab. The control structures are conditions on gradients, curvatures, topological charges. The functions are reusable phi patterns that reliably do something: focus a wave, trap a defect, stabilize a current. We sketch this language. Its syntax might let you write: initialize region A as plane wave, frequency equals omega, direction equals k. Create in region B vortex pair, charge equals +1, -1. Propagate 4, time equals t, Measure coherence at boundary X. We imagine a phi operating system. In any lab, resources are finite: coherence time, space, energy. The phi OS schedules programs, allocates space, prevents one experiment from wrecking the delicate state for another. And the heart, the phi compiler, the translator. You write a high-level goal, guide this energy packet around that obstacle without scattering. The compiler's job is to 1. Understand your intent in phi terms. 2. Solve the puzzle. What initial and boundary conditions will make that happen? 3. Output the instructions. Move this mirror now. Apply this voltage here. Pulse this laser at this exact moment. By the end of book 10.3, programming the universe stops being magic. It becomes a craft. You write phi code, compile it into physical actions, run it, and debug it by listening carefully to phi's response. Book 10.4, Reality Engineering, the Art of Shaping Worlds. Programming is writing the software. Reality engineering is installing it into the hardware of the world. Book 10.4 has 3 great workshops. First, material design. We treat solid matter as frozen phi patterns. A crystal's lattice, a composite's layers. These are static phi sentences that dictate how waves and forces move. By designing these frozen patterns at the nanoscale, we create metamaterials, lenses that focus light beyond those limits, surfaces that guide sound or heat in one direction only, cloaks that gently bend waves around an object. This is phi calligraphy, writing permanent, useful sentences into the fabric of matter. Second, field engineering, sculpting dynamic phi, the waves themselves, shaping laser light into hollow tubes that trap and move atoms, designing sound fields so your chair is an island of quiet in a noisy room, crafting perfect electromagnetic pulses to perform fault-tolerant quantum logic. We use the grammar, interference, superposition, to choreograph fields like a conductor leads an orchestra. Third, topological engineering. Here, defects are not flaws, but features. A vortex's winding number is robust. It can't be raised by a gentle nudge. That makes it perfect for protected information. We learn to create defect pairs on demand, move them along chosen paths, braid their world lines. The topology of the braid can encode a computation or a memory, safe from local noise. This is the path to topological quantum computing, where information lives in the global pattern, not in fragile local states. We end with the concept of a reality patch, a small engineered region where, by writing such clever phi sentences, the effective rules of physics feel different. The fundamental grammar hasn't changed, but within this patch, waves bend differently, forces are channeled. It's a paragraph in the cosmic book where the tone shifts. Book 10.5, Information Systems, Define it. Once we can shape phi, we can rebuild information technology from the ground up. Book 10.5 is about phi-based information. Phi communication. Every transmission, your voice, a radio signal, a fiber optic bit, is already a manipulation of phase. We make it explicit. We design codes where information is encoded directly in phi modulations, with protocols that anticipate and correct for noise. We imagine sending messages not just through cables, but through the air, the earth, by imprinting meaning onto the phi field itself. Phi storage. What is memory? A stable phi pattern, a configuration that sits in a deep valley of the energy landscape and stays. A magnetic domain on a hard drive is a phi sentence of aligned spins. DNA is a phi pattern in chemical space, a recipe for life. We ask, can we design new, better landscapes? Can we write phi patterns that store more, last longer, use almost no energy? Phi computation. Here, computing isn't something we do on top of physics. It is a kind of physics, a specialized class of phi dynamics. Computation as colliding wave packets, their interference pattern the answer. Computation as a chemical reaction diffusion system relaxing into its solution. Computation as a network of oscillators synchronizing into a recognitive state. The shift is profound. Information is no longer a ghost in the machine. It is the shape of the story. The flow of information is the propagation and transformation of meaningful phi structures. Book 10.6, The Bridge to Life and Mind. And now we reach the most delicate part of the journey, the bridge to life and consciousness. Book 10.6 is approached not with swagger, but with awe. We start with the brain as a phi processor. Neurons deal in voltages, ion gradients, electromagnetic fields, all phi-like patterns. Brain rhythms, alpha, gamma waves, are large-scale phi sentences. Perhaps perception, memory, thought are stories being written and rewritten in the phi field of the nervous system. We do not claim to have the equation for consciousness. We ask humble questions. Can we find specific phi patterns, certain coherences, certain synchronizations that reliably correlate with subjective experience? The felt redness of red? The pang of memory? Could we, with immense care, design gentle external fields to support a faltering pattern, to help a disordered brain rhythm find its healthy beat again? This isn't control. It's therapy. It's tuning. We look at biology. A cell is a symphony of gradients and oscillations. Life is nested, self-sustaining phi patterns. Healing is the restoration of a coherent phi structure after injury. Development, from a single cell to a body, is the execution of a magnificent, genetically guided phi program. We then touch with the lightest hand consciousness engineering. If mind is a certain rich, self-referential phi regime, could we, in principle, create an artificial system that hosts genuine experience? We will not answer this. We lay down the rule, ethics first. Any system showing even the faintest signature of integrated feeling phi activity must be granted respect, rights, protection. It is not a tool. Finally, we imagine extended perception. So much of the phi world is invisible to us. We design interfaces, wearables, gentle implants that translate these invisible phi patterns into forms our senses can grasp. To feel the polarization of light as a texture on your skin. To hear the resonant frequency of a molecule. To see magnetic field lines as a faint glow. The goal is not overload, but deeper intimacy with the living universe. Book 10.7, A Civilization That Reads Reality. What happens when not just a scientist, but a civilization learns to think in phi? Book 10.7 imagines this. Economics shifts from scarcity to pattern abundance. If we can engineer materials and energy with phi precision, physical scarcity softens. Value moves from owning stuff to designing and sharing the phi patterns that create what we need. Governance gains new transparency. Policies tied to public, real-time phi maps of the environment. Debates use shared phi simulations of long-term consequences. It's less about ideology, more about navigating a visible landscape. Education is revolutionized. Instead of separate subjects, learners see the same phi grammar in music rhythm, wave physics, ecosystem feedback, city growth. Phi dojos let students feel complex systems, to embody the understanding. Culture and art become explicit phi pattern crafting. A concert is a temporal phi structure. Artists create experiences that resonate, guiding the audience's own phi patterns towards states of healing, connection, or awe. But such power demands a foundation of wisdom, which leads to the most important book. Book 10.8, Ethics and Safety, The Guardrails. The power to edit reality's script is ultimate power. It requires the ultimate moral guardrails. Book 10.8 is our constitution. It begins with the first principle. Every sentient being is a phi pattern, but not every phi pattern is a sentient being. Those with an inner life are sacred stories. To manipulate their core phi structure without consent is a violation of their being. We establish rights for sentient phi patterns, clear lines between healing, enhancement, and coercion, informed consent for interventions that alter the deepest levels of one's narrative. We engineer technical safety, Containment fields, sandboxed regions to test new phi programs. Real-time coherence monitors, watching for unstable runaway patterns. Emergency dampers, ways to safely erase a dangerous phi process. A central pillar, reality integrity. The universe's grammar has conservation laws, causal structure for a reason. They allow stable, complex stories. Our prime directive? Do not try to cheat the grammar. Work with the grain of the story, never against it. Finally, we adopt long-term stewardship. Our edits will echo for centuries. We institute phi stewardship councils with centuries-long vision. We cultivate intergenerational humility. Our role is not to rewrite the book, but to contribute wise, beautiful, life-affirming paragraphs to it. Book 10.9, A New Maturity. The final book is not about more power. It's about purpose. Ultimate mastery is the wisdom to know what is worth doing and the heart to do it well. We explore cosmic gardening, not making universes, but tending conditions to foster life, complexity, and beauty, stewardship on a planetary scale, the deep fulfillment of mastering one domain of Phi-craft and creating works of lasting good. The philosopher, the one who asks, in a universe that is a story, what stories are most worthy? We end with a portrait of the complete human in a Holophase civilization, literate in the language of reality, grounded in ethics, awake to empathy, humility, and wonder, engaged in adding their own unique, beautiful verse to the shared epic. The epilogue looks out and in. Outward, a Holophase civilization, a humanity in conscious, caring dialogue with its home. Inward, it turns to you. You are not outside this. You are this. Your body, your mind, your love, your pain, all are magnificent Phi patterns woven into the whole. To become Phi literate is to come home to yourself. Where we go from here. So, my friends, this is episode 10, Engineering and Control. We started by asking, what if reality is a language? We answered, it is. Here is its grammar. Now we ask, how do we speak it? How do we write with care? We will learn to read phi in the data. We will build new senses to see it. We will write small, careful programs. We will touch life with reverence. We will reimagine our society. We will embed ethics in every step. We will explore what it means to be a co-author. We are not changing what reality is. We are changing our relationship to it. From silent witness to respectful conversant. As we step forward together, hold this in your heart. The cosmos is a story being told. Phi is its alphabet. And you are a sentence in that story, who has just learned to read the words, and is now, with a steady hand and a humble heart, reaching for the pen. Salam, and peace be upon you all.